know, I've always been drawn to places shrouded in mystery. And when I started digging into Angkor Wat in Cambodia, I realized I was looking at something far bigger than just ancient ruins. Let me tell you what I found about the forbidden temples of this extraordinary complex stories that very few people know and that, perhaps, were never meant to come to light. Everyone recognizes that classic picture-perfect image of Angkor Wat. At sunrise, its towers reflecting in the water. But what most people don't realize is that Angkor Wat is just the tip of the iceberg. The entire Angkor complex stretches over 400 square kilometers of dense jungle, and it is estimated that only about 10% of the temples have been fully explored and documented. And the other 90%, they remain hidden, swallowed by the Cambodian jungle. There are temples completely off-limits to the public, protected not just for conservation, but for reasons that local authorities seem to want to keep secret. During my research, I stumbled upon reports from archaeologists who found unmapped underground chambers, tunnels stretching for kilometers beneath the main temples, and inscriptions in languages no one has been able to fully decipher. One of the most captivating things I learned was about the guardians of Angkor. I'm not talking about modern security guards, but about Cambodian families who have lived for generations near the most remote temples. These people are keepers of an oral history passed down from father to son for over 800 years. They know things that you won't find in any history book. According to one researcher's report, a local elder spoke of a temple called Prasat Kram, the Red Temple, which has never been officially registered. The elder claimed its walls are coated in a reddish substance of unknown origin, and that inside, there are sculptures that don't depict any known Hindu or Buddhist deity. The authorities deny its existence, but curiously, satellite images show a structural anomaly in the exact location the locals described, and this is where it gets even more fascinating. Back in 1992, a French restoration team accidentally discovered an entrance to underground chambers beneath the Tia Prom Temple, you know, the famous one, with giant trees growing over its ruins. As they began to explore, they uncovered a network of man-made tunnels connecting to other temples in the complex. But the strangest part, there were signs that someone had been there recently. Footprints in the dust, remnants of modern flashlights, and even food cans dated to the 1970s. The exploration was immediately stopped, and the entrance was sealed with concrete. The team members were reportedly instructed not to discuss what they found. Only one of them, years later in retirement, mentioned in an obscure interview that they had found something that should exist in a 12th century Buddhist temple. Another incredible mystery lies within the inscriptions. Angkor Wat is covered in thousands of meters of bas-reliefs and texts in Sanskrit and ancient Khmer. But there are small, discrete sections where the inscriptions are completely different. Linguists who examined them were baffled because the grammatical structure doesn't match any known language from that region or era. An American researcher managed to photograph some of these inscriptions in 2003 before being escorted off the site by authorities. He posted the photos online, and ancient language experts from around the world tried to decipher them. The closest they got was a theory that they showed influences from Southeast Asian languages, but also contained elements of Vedic script from India, which supposedly never reached that region. A few months later, the photos vanished from the internet. But perhaps the most mind-bending secret of Angkor Wat is built into its very architecture. The Khmer were brilliant astronomers, and the temple was designed with incredible astronomical precision. But there is one detail that defies all explanation. Certain measurements of the temple seem to align with astronomical cycles that could only be known with modern technology. For instance, the distance between specific points in the temple, when converted into astronomical units, corresponds almost perfectly to the orbital period of Venus with 99.8% accuracy. How could 12th century builders know this so precisely? They didn't have telescopes or advanced measuring tools. Some researchers suggest that there must have been a more ancient body of knowledge, perhaps from an even older civilization that influenced the Khmer. Using LiDAR technology, that incredible tool that maps the ground with aerial lasers, scientists in 2015 discovered a massive network of tunnels and underground structures beneath the entire Angkor area. I'm not talking about simple drainage systems or foundations. These are wide tunnels, some over 3 meters high, forming precise geometric patterns under the jungle floor. The most unsettling part. Some of these tunnels appear to have been dug from the inside out, as if they were made by something or someone that was already underground. Geologically, it makes no sense, but analysis of the tunnel walls shows excavation marks moving from the center of the earth towards the surface. What really gets me isn't just the mysteries themselves, but the deafening silence from the authorities. The Cambodian government is extremely protective of Angkor, which is understandable. Tourism is a huge part of the country's economy. But there's a big difference between protection and concealment. Multiple archaeologists have reported being blocked from continuing their research in specific areas, with no clear reason given. Requests to explore certain temples are systematically denied, and when someone does manage to document something unusual and tries to publish it, they often face pressure to retract or alter their findings. So, what is really hidden in the forbidden temples of Angkor Wat? Priceless treasures, the lost knowledge of an ancient civilization, evidence of cultural contacts that would rewrite history, or maybe something stranger, something that challenges our entire understanding of how these structures were built and why. The truth is, we don't know, and maybe that's exactly what makes Angkor so compelling. In a world where we think we've mapped every last corner of the planet, there are still places that hold genuine secrets, places where the past isn't fully unraveled, and where every stone can tell a different story from the one we learned in school. What I can say for sure is that Angkor Wat is so much more than a tourist destination. It's a gigantic puzzle, and we're only just starting to find the pieces. At least, the pieces we're allowed to find. As for the others, the ones still buried in the jungle, or locked away in sealed chambers, well, maybe they should stay there. Or maybe that's exactly why we need to find them. After all, the knowledge that is hidden is often the most important knowledge of all. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey. If you enjoyed this dive into the unknown, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more mysteries. See you next time.